everybody. It's Rob from the Rants podcast here with Earl, and I know we're just kind of geeking out here for a second. We just got back from seeing Star Wars The Last Jedi, and as far as the West Coast is concerned, we were the first ones to get to see it. We saw an early fan showing at our local cinema, and of course everybody back east has already seen it, so it doesn't really matter. And the first part of what we're going to do tonight is going to be spoiler free. We're just going to talk about how we feel about it real quick, but that's only going to be about 5 minutes, maybe tops, because we're chomping at the bit. Like, it's holy fuck. Just to get it out of the way, definitely go see it. Go see it in the theater. You said you didn't care much for 3D usually, but I really enjoyed that in 3D.
This one was actually worked well in 3D.
Yeah, they did. They played to the 3D quite a bit, and that was really cool. So I'm going to pour myself, if I can open it, what is this again? Oh, Jim Beam Devil's Cut Whiskey. Oof. I couldn't find any Jacob's Ghost, but that's what I was hoping to find. But at any rate, and what are you drinking tonight?
Well, I contribute to the liquor pot. A little bit of Cannonball. So.
Oh, okay. So, hang on here a second. Make sure we got sound, everything. Yeah, I was so anxious to get started, I didn't actually check everything yet. At any rate, like I said, we just went to see Star Wars The Last Jedi. I'll just, right off the bat, definitely go see it. It certainly has the most slapstick humor, I guess, or more like screwball comedy humor of any Star Wars I've ever seen.
And I thought it was well done.
Yeah, the timing was excellent. Of course it was Poe. And we won't get into specifically what he did, because I'll say this about the movie itself as a whole. It is definitely Empire. It is very Empire. Kind of out of order a little bit, but very Empire. And so as the middle act, it's darker, and I could tell that I've never heard anybody really complain, but the only comment I've ever heard about Empire is that it's not much fun. There's some fun parts in it, I love you, I know, the asteroids. But this had like straight up comedy. Like, it was for about 2 or 3 minutes, the movie was like comedy. It was Star Wars comedy in space. It was just it's crazy.
Oh yes.
So when we're done, kind of giving our opinion, we'll get into the specifics of some of those jokes. Earl took notes, like I wished I had. I was sitting there going, damn, I don't have a pen and paper. I don't write this shit down. The movie's very long. I mean, we're talking Lord of the Rings long. Oh. Well, Lord of the Rings theater release long. It was, yeah.
It was so long, Claudia was like, I haven't heard from you yet. I was like, I just got done with the movie. I think it clocked in. It closed almost 3 hours.
And lately, I've been going to the movies, and this will relate. I've been going to the movies, as I do quite a bit. But lately, I've been getting, if I don't like the movie, I get tired, and I start to fall asleep. Even movies that I like, I kind of start to nod off. Not for a second with this one. And I had a rough week. So, this had us wrapped from the beginning. Earl did his typical, when he's about ready to really pay attention. Oh, shit. That's nice, huh? He does this number and sit there and look at the screen. So anyway, I haven't even started drinking yet. That's how excited I am. And I'm going to pick this up before my computer gets smashed in it.
Quick pause.
Yes, once you do me, there's probably, I'll get it. There's towels in that room straight back. It's a total mess, but there's towels in there. Oh, and there's my remote to my TV. See, this is how discombobulated I am. This is the real thing. Oh, the light's on the other side. There you go. Just grab anything. That's my horrible. I'm going through and getting rid of stuff for winter. So, thank you, sir.
Yes.
So, and I went all over my cards too. That's okay. They weren't that interesting.
Oh, they weren't?
No, not really. Not really. We went to a special early showing, and they had little commemorative tickets, and all they really are is kind of like big trading cards. So then I'm dripping all over my.
I promise there was no booze at this theater.
No, we were not even drinking. We're just giddy schoolboys right now. Especially me, apparently. So thank you very much, sir. We got that running. And I'll just kind of finish here, and then when you're done here, you can give your 2 cents on this.
Please do.
I enjoyed it thoroughly. I felt that even though it had some funny times in it, of course, Force Awakens was more fun. But that, it's the second act. What are you going to do? I think that I didn't even realize until the end of this movie that Rey and Poe had never met.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Like, they never met until the end of this movie, almost 2 movies worth, and they never even met. Finn is always, and we were talking about this on the way there, Finn is the linchpin of the entire trio there, which is interesting to say because in Force Awakens he was originally supposed to die, but J.J. Abrams talks about that on the Force Awakens commentary. So anyway, that being said, I'm like a jittery idiot. So Earl, please put me out of my misery. Tell me what you think without spoiling anything.
I'm just going to get it out there. I was really excited going into seeing this one because, unlike you, I tend to listen to the chatter and the feedback. And when I heard the initial early reviews, there were a lot of people that were saying they thought this was probably topping it for when it comes to Star Wars as a whole. We know that Rian Johnson was a fanboy, kind of like J.J. Abrams. And honestly, I'm putting this up there with Empire.
Really?
I really am.
Okay.
I was excited and drawn in on every scene. There was not a boring scene to me.
Okay, it didn't drag at all.
Out of all the movies, now for you said you really liked Force Awakens. I liked it too, but this is up there. This is up there with the original 3, and I will put it up there with Empire. Okay,
that's
is one of my favorites.
Well, that's one of my favorite movies ever, much less a favorite Star Wars movie. Pardon me. Well, I think I just need some time to soak it in. There was so much going on and so much happened. I will say, without giving any details away, there's a lot of twists. Some you see coming, some you see telegraphed, and they're still cool.
Yes.
Some you don't. You're like, oh, what was that? I will say about the Porgs. The Porgs are cute as hell. They're funny. They're not overused. There might have been one or two scenes they could have been out of, but they have a great joke we'll talk about later. That I want to buy this Porg.
So for anybody listening out there, they are what the Ewoks should have been.
Yes. Funny, cute, and small, and not in as much scenes.
Yes.
So, I think they did the Porgs just right, and of course it's obviously a toy grab. I get it. But they worked, they were funny, and there's a great moment with Chewbacca and the Porgs at a campfire.
Yes.
It's really funny.
Yes.
The whole thing is just crazy. But it also the action scene at the beginning is pretty stupendous. It's my favorite fight scenes have always been Jedi. You know, the fight scenes as in the ship, the space battles.
Yes.
And even more so than some of the newer ones. And this movie is Empire and Jedi's love child, is what this is.
Yes.
There's a lot of Jedi elements in it as well. And that opening fight scene was wonderful. Poe, of course, is the center stage, and Hux on the other side. Is it just me, or is Hux looking old for some reason? It's like they're making him look old.
It's just weird. I noticed that because I've been watching a lot of the different Facebook feeds where they do
comparisons and whatnot.
No, where they have it's the promotion.
Okay.
So you have all the actors, and there's quite a few of them, like with Daisy Ridley, and I'm unsure. I don't know. Forgive me. I don't know the guy who plays Hux.
Oh boy, I have his IMDb.
But he's an Irish guy.
Yeah, and he was in Ex Machina with Poe as well.
Yes.
Eric Isaacs.
Okay, so looks a lot younger in real life.
Yeah.
And they're bantering. They're doing like I don't know if you ever follow Facebook where they talk about it's some, I don't know if it's GQ, BuzzFeed, or whatever, and they do like Google they do the Google search. What is Daisy Ridley's favorite thing or whatever. And
right.
So they were doing that particular spot, those two, and he's a young guy, and yet they made him look old, and I think they did it for a reason.
I think they may, yeah, I think so too.
Kind of like the pressure and the haggardness of the events that led after Force Awakens, because he looked younger in Force Awakens, and now the pressure's getting to him. So I think that was probably.
I'm not going to try to pronounce his first name, but it's Dom something. Dom Gleason is the guy.
Yes.
And as General Hux, and he was wonderful in Ex Machina, and he's very young. And this was of course, Ex Machina was a few years ago, but not that many years ago.
No.
And he and Eric Isaacs almost had this frickin' frack without ever being in the same room together, which is just priceless. That's the other thing I loved about this movie. Their depiction of the aspects of the Force was different than I've ever seen anywhere, even in the old expanded universe.
Yeah.
They did some things that were hinted at in some older stories, but this was way more, I dare say, interactive in a weird way. this you can see the power that's what JJ and this new one have done really well. They've shown how powerful the Force is better than the old ones ever did. Yeah, it was all fancy and ninjutsu stuff in the prequels, and of course it was kind of stiff and whatnot in the originals. The swordplay in this is very samurai,
Yes.
which I like a lot. Very Kurosawa, very Bruce Lee kind of facing off. It's there's a great face-off scene at the end that is just priceless. And again, we'll get into the details in a little bit. But it starts out really funny, starts out really strong, and it kind of goes dark pretty quick. There's still, after some funny parts with Luke and a few other things with Rey, it does get kind of dark a little pretty quick. They still kind of poke little jabs in there. Now I heard you squeal a couple times. Is there anything you can mention without giving anything away? Because that's what Earl does. He fusses his hands together and he squeals every few seconds when he watches these movies.
I'm a little boy when it comes to Star Wars. Not without giving away too much. I truly enjoy the opening intro, that first initial space battle.
Yeah.
Like you said, that was so reminiscent of. To me, that was even more reminiscent of New Hope at the Death Star battle scene.
Yeah. There were some trench run references.
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally. And not just trench run references. You had a Porkins reference.
Oh, yeah. Big time. I forgot about that.
You know, they bring back a few of the beloved starfighters and in the right way.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
You know, because when you saw some of these starfighters that were of Return of the Jedi-esque, you know, the A-Wing and...
well, plus they found that ship with all the holograms of all the old ships, like the old TIE, the old TIE bomber, and the old shuttle, and all that stuff.
So I mean, that was great.
I know we can't do shit without talking about actual details.
No, and the rest of it that I'm squealing about are moments within the movie.
Oh God.
So at the end of the day, if you have thinking about going and seeing it, you should go see it. If you had never seen a Star Wars movie in the theater, this is one to go see in the theater. You know, if you had a bad taste in your mouth with Phantom Menace or
even Force Awakens, some people did. Yeah.
Take a mouthwash, rinse it out, and go fucking
put on your
see
big boy
movie.
pants.
Yeah. Go pay the $10, and if you go pay the $11 at Cinetopia, it's worth having a beer in your hand when you're watching this.
I agree with that. We were kind of crunched for time. You live across town, and I had to work until relatively close to the time. It started at 6. I will say this about the fan event, though. I'm a little disappointed.
I was too.
I bet you anything if we'd gone to Cinetopia, it'd have been way bigger.
Well, and I noticed that the crowd going in for the 9 o'clock showing was gigantic.
Yes.
So maybe we were the early birds.
Which means they're all watching this while we're talking about it. Not that anybody cares what we're saying. But it's... As we were coming out, you and I were gibbering back and forth in incomplete sentences about, but that, I like it. Hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. All right, I'll meet you in the house. And literally, we come out, we're gibbering like little kids, and all these people in line are watching me as I walk out because they're just watching everybody, that's coming out of the theater. When I stepped out of the theater, the first thing I heard was a little girl step off the curb and go, "I think that was the best Star Wars I've ever seen." I just started laughing.
Well, and to me, that is, and that's what I'm excited about for when I take my girls, because my girls are big Star Wars fans, and so is my wife.
Big time.
And I will be excited to take them to see this movie, even with all the dark elements.
Well, it's
because I took them to see Justice League, so they got to see some of that dark elements too.
Star Wars did it so much better.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, go on.
But anyways, so if you're worried about taking your kids, yeah, there's going to be some darker elements, but they did it classy. And when we get into the meats, I will bring that up.
Okay. All right. So. Well, by and large, this gets a 5-shotter. 5 out of 4.
Oh, yeah.
Big time. This is Star Wars at its best, and it might be arguable if it's better than any of the other ones or all of the other ones. It's certainly... I definitely put it above Jedi, which of course would make it Empire. Mm-hmm. Pretty much. Because... And, people complain again that Force Awakens had all the Star Wars beats, like bat, beat. And we're like, so what? That's what we want. The whole point of the story is that generationally, things just keep repeating themselves. It's the same shit, different names.
And that was the great thing about Force Awakens and they even talked about it a little bit when the whole prequel, and if you're a fan of the EU, or I'm sorry, canon and legends, whatever you want to call it.
We're legends kids.
Yes, well, we EU kids is what we are. You
Yeah,
know, it. If you're any fan when it talks about the Force, in this context, it's cyclic. So yes, the movies, Force Awakens had the same vibe as New Hope. We get why Disney did it. We understand why J.J. Abrams directed the way he did it. But I loved it, and this.
Yeah, you can't emphasize that enough.
This raised the bar, and I feel sorry for who's on the seat directing for 9.
I think aren't they bringing JJ back?
I thought I heard that as well.
Yes, I think they are. And
so I'm wondering if JJ and Rain were.
Rain was definitely fanboying out. And that actually brings me to another point of we got a little bit of extra content because we went to the fan opening. It wasn't spectacular, but it was cute.
No, I actually, well, it wasn't spectacular,
No.
but it was very for anybody that's truly loved Star Wars and is a big fan. The extra content was truly enjoyable especially from my standpoint, from my background.
Yeah.
Musically.
Oh, okay.
So.
You know, it's not like it's giving anything away. It was only for the fan event, so it's going to end up being a DVD extra. I guarantee it. It was John Williams and the producer, what's his name again?
Rain Johnson.
Rain Johnson.
Yeah.
Talking about the score, the soundtrack, and it was really kind of almost a little heart-wrenching in a way because it's really beautiful seeing John back in 1976.
He said 40 years, 40 some odd years.
Yeah.
About as old as you and I are. Not quite. But
he was in his 30s, upper 30s at that point.
The man is almost 90 years old.
He must be, because he still rocks it though. He does a little. One of the good things about Justice League is that Danny Elfman put some other songs and music in there, including his own Batman one, but also Superman to kind of play along. Williams does this too. Rey's theme repeats like it did from Force Awakens, which I've always thought sounded like Christmas music. I love her theme. And because I remember when I first bought the soundtrack, I was like, why does Star Wars have Christmas music? Because I listened to the soundtrack before we went to see the movie. This is actually the first time we've gone to premiere night. This is the first time we've done that. And which is part of why it's just Earl and I today. We're the only ones who could squeeze that in.
Oh, I made the time.
I did too. There was no way. I'm going to visit my folks for Christmas here tomorrow or the next day.
And I do have a side note.
Yeah.
I love you, Claudia. Thank you for letting me do this.
Okay. Thanks. Yes, thank you, Claudia. I have to remind myself that too.
As you should.
Because it would just be me sitting here in the dark and drinking alone and crying, which happens just about every Friday night. So, at any rate, go see it. The extra content wasn't anything you really missed, but you'll get it on the DVD, I'm sure. They played a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff in the lobby and in the theater while we were all waiting to getting our popcorn. It was a tad disorganized at the theaters, like they weren't ready for it quite yet. And for some reason, I'm guessing it's the Disney rule, they had to actually print out tickets. Like they had to print out tickets. It must be a metrics thing. It must be something with Disney. Who knows? They have all the monies, and they're going to continue to have all the monies between this and Marvel. Disney rules the world.
Like they had to print out tickets.
Oops, sorry.
Oops, what was that?
I was just seeing who was tracking us, but I can't because then it's live, and it's live.
That's right. That's all right. Yeah, it's to get this echo. Could you please turn your radio down? And for any of you kids who know what on the air is, airwaves. But anyway, so go see it. And frankly, we can't not get into details at this point. Spoilers from this point forward. We're gonna get into plot details. We're gonna talk about what made us go ooh. And he went ooh a lot. So.
And in all fairness, I probably forgot how much I oohed, so I wrote some things down. But let's kind of, as best we can, break it down from the beginning. And you are better at remembering things, so as best you can. I'll try to bounce off of what.
That is the only way we're going to keep track of all this stuff. And let's go back to the opening scenes. It starts with a battle, pretty much.
Well, it starts with the opening scroll.
Yeah. And it basically does what all the Star Wars movies do really great. They put you right in the middle of a situation that's already going on.
With the exception of Rogue One, which they did too.
Well, they did, because
there was no scroll with Rogue One.
No scroll, but it went right into a battle, right then.
Yeah.
So they do that very well in Star Wars, and this was no exception. And it was one of those completely, everything's lost, we're going to die in a giant, there's like a dozen giant Star Destroyers coming out of hyperspace, which I love the design of the new First Order ships.
Oh yeah.
The Star Destroyer, the Dreadnoughts, the
Dreadnought was badass.
Yes, it was gigantimous. It was crazy. I can't even that's not a word. That's how big it was. And they did some cool 3D shots with that. And basically, it was a real David and Goliath moment. Poe basically shows up in the black X-wing, and it almost like seemed like an old remember Lucas loves cars, so playing chicken. That's almost what it was like. But it was chicken between a gigantic Star Destroyer and an X-wing, and the X-wing pulls right up to the nose of the Star Destroyer and stops.
And then makes a phone call.
It's fucking great.
Or a radio phone call.
Well, it was a phone call. It's like, I'd like to talk to General Hux, please. Princess Leia has something to tell him. I think it's something about his mother. That's literally what he says. And
can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Hux gets on the line.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, and he's totally falling into the trap. And Poe's like, I'm on hold for General Hux.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Dude,
you know what?
Right off the bat, they set the fucking tone, comedy-wise, with that.
It was like the first scene in Force Awakens when they did the me talk, you talk, you talk, me talk thing. They did it for like another several beats. Like, it just kept going. Yeah. And the look on Dom's face, the guy who plays Hux, was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was totally... I felt more like I was watching Office Space.
Yes.
That's what it felt like. Star Wars Office Space.
Or
That's what it was.
Red Dwarf or something like that. You know, kind of
The Office or something.
It was very campy, great campy.
Oh my God, it was so funny. So anyway, but as usual, Poe decides to run off half-cocked. There was a lot of Top Gun moments in this movie, I felt. Yeah. He was very Maverick. And so, of course...
I think the great thing about that is, and as we get along into the course of our dialogue, that actually really sets the tone of what Poe is within this set of three, or soon to be 3 movies.
Well, because the original, the princess, the farm boy, and the scoundrel. Those are the 3.
Right. So now you have the scoundrel, but who is, in Poe is most definitely going to be the scoundrel-esque.
I wouldn't even say they're the same categories as the original 3. I really would say Poe is more, like I said, more Maverick.
Yeah, but so was Han.
Well, okay, I'll give you that. Yeah.
Because if you know, well, once again,
I'm a naval aviator.
I have to. We have to digress into the backstory of who Han Solo is, to say the qualities of Poe, or that's why do you think
shoot from the hip?
Why do you think Leia, in the grand scheme thing, if we're reading into it, keeps him around? Who does she remind him of?
Yeah, I can see that. She does. She really has a...
She does. She has a soft spot.
It's a weird Oedipal kind of thing. It's really strange.
For, as she would say...
For Poe.
For nerf herders, he's a flippin' nerf herder.
Well, even her and Laura Dern at one point look at each other and go, he's a maverick. Yeah, I like him too. It's like kind of creepy. Like,
exactly.
All right, ladies. It's like...
So anyways...
Sounds like a bad Timberlake song.
So you have that where he's standing off, and the next thing you know it...
it gets very World War II.
Yeah, very, very, very. Oh, don't get me started there.
Yeah.
The ruse happens, and
the bombers show up.
He buys the time, and the bombers show up. We're talking B-wing fighters, baby.
Giant B-wing fighters, like oversized.
We're talking. This is the way the B-wing fighters were supposed to be.
Yeah, because nobody explained it in the original one. They're like, what are those? And you had to actually read the EU to figure out. Oh, those are bombers. Okay, I get
right.
it.
B for bombers.
Yeah.
And then A-wing fighters also played a perfect role throughout this movie.
Okay, the shots of the fighters close up with the actual pilots in them. Star Wars does the most seamless live action CGI I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Better than Avatar, better than...
Yes.
I mean, not to get anything against those things, but Star Wars is the pinnacle of that technology. And the ships were just there. They were just there.
Yes.
And at one point, you felt like you'd reach out and touch them. There was that dreadnought shot with the nose, like they did in Force Awakens, and you're like, whoa, in 3D. So, at any rate, along with the plot details, a little bit, I think we can remember, Poe does his thing. They managed to rescue, what did they end up saying? They managed to escape. It's very much like Hoth. They managed to escape, and then Leia, of course, says, Poe, we're out, we got what we needed, leave. And Poe's like, no, we need to destroy the dreadnought, we have a chance here.
And then we need to preface, they managed to escape without sacrifice.
Right, that's a good point.
So basically...
Because that didn't happen again.
Yeah, most of the resistance force, pretty much the TAC force, was decimated.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously Leia is pissed.
Yeah.
Because that was totally counteractive to what her...
well, it was...
Because she had said pull out, and Poe was like, no, basically, Maverick, fuck you.
Yeah. We're going to buzz the tower.
We need to buzz the tower, attack, press.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
So they proceed with the attack. There's some really dramatic moments in the bombers. Like, I'm not kidding. This felt like a 50s World War II movie in that spot. The sacrifice, everybody gets taken out.
So basically, one of my notes, and I didn't take many.
Okay.
I did take a few. And one of those I said, was B-17 bombers.
Yeah.
That the
way the bombs are laid
beautiful. Beautiful fucking scenes, because if you've ever watched any World War II movies, Memphis Belle.
Well, yeah.
If you've ever seen Memphis Belle, or if you've ever even been in it, go to Evergreen Aviation up here, McMinnville.
At the museum.
Yeah. If you've ever been inside a bomber, the footage that they used, the way they made the B-1, a little different.
It's kind of inverted. Yeah.
But
because he was inverted. Get it?
That's what the bombardiers did. That's what the enlisted guys with the bombardiers did. They had to navigate catwalks. And that scene, and obviously we find out later who that individual is that made the sacrifice.
Right. She's important to the plot.
Important to the plot line. That was what bombardiers did.
Yeah.
And
essentially, the boat was going down,
and
she was the last one, and she wasn't even the pilot. She was like a gunner.
She was a gunner, belly gunner, yeah. And then realized, oh shoot, I got to do my part. Mm-hmm. But that whole bomb bay, that was B-17 on steroids in my eyes.
Yes.
And as an Air Force guy and an old,
So it starts off real strong. It slows down real quick.
Yes.
In a way. You see I might be jumping things here or there, but it seems like we ended up on the island with Luke at that point. Right after that point.
Okay, and so, now we're talking about spoilers.
Yeah.
That particular scene that you see is the scene that everyone watched.
At the end of the first one.
No. Oh. This is the scene that everyone watched probably and broke the internet a million times. Because that was the reshoot that they showed way back.
That's right.
Way back in February of last year.
Right. And I'll say this though, that whole interaction.
And it still gave me goosebumps.
But he totally derails it right off the bat.
Right, because you don't see
it coming. Ray walks up, hands in the lightsaber. He takes it.
He looks
at
her,
looks at it, and throws it over his shoulder into the ocean. It's fucking ridiculous.
Which made me for my next little thing, because I felt bad the whole time. Every now and then the fucking light on my phone pops up and I'm typing.
Yeah, he's trying to keep it down.
It's not just text messages that I'm getting, but that was total Yoda.
It was.
Total Yoda, but Luke.
The first several scenes between Rey and Luke were total Dagobah. It was almost identical, but not in a way that was pandering or just repetitive. It was funny. He fucked with her like Yoda fucked with him. It turns out he knew he didn't throw it in the ocean. It landed on a crevice, and she crawled down and got it. Although the fate of the lightsaber is kind of weird. I'm trying to figure that one out still, how that's going to play.
We still got to get that going.
Get that going. We'll get to that. We're on linear here.
Yeah. But what...
So anyway, he tosses it over his shoulder.
Tosses over.
He fucks with her, and just he goes hunting and fishing.
But like I said, but we have to get to the sidebar down the road. Was he really fucking with her? Or was he just like, I really don't fucking care? At that moment.
I will say that part of it might have been that, but considering what ended up at the end with him in the tree, he didn't know exactly that was going to happen. He said to Yoda, by the way. He said to Yoda, "Oh, is it time? Is this it? It's time?" And Yoda's kind of like, "Yeah." So right then you're like, "What the fuck's gonna happen now?" And it does turn out a little bit like you expect, but a little bit not. So, but anyway, we'll get to there. So
wait a minute. Spoiler alert. Yoda's in it.
Yoda's in the movie.
Okay.
And he's funny as hell.
Let's go back.
Okay.
We can't do this.
So then it switches back to the Resistance, and you see Leia slap Poe, just bitch slap him, like holy crap, and just chewing out
of nowhere. That is totally un-Star Wars-esque, but totally Leia.
Yeah.
If you know how badass Leia can be.
And So you get that's where the Oedipal thing comes in. It gets really strange because at one point I remember after she chewed him out, she stepped around, she demoted him, stepped around, he grabbed her arm, and it was under the camera, but you still like he stopped her cold.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bitch, that's Princess Leia. So I kind of thought, why is she letting him just do that? Because that's out of character. It's totally out of character. She'd been like, motherfucker. So I could tell that you're right. It kind of led me to something. And I will say, kind of a surprise, Laura Dern was in it. She was the Admiral. And
Vice Admiral.
Yes, sorry.
Because Admiral Akbar bit it.
Right, that's right. Yeah, Akbar dies too, by the way.
It was not a trap.
He was not a trap. It was actually definitely a trap. But this, for a second there, I kind of thought, is this Game of Thrones or Star Wars? Because they were just killing people left and right there for a few minutes. But of course, it plays out a little bit later. But I'm kind of losing track of where we're at this point. Where she slapped Poe. He got mad.
He got mad because he was pissed because he was like, "We got to do something. Why are you mad at me?"
Yeah. Oh, right. He thinks that nobody's doing anything. He's running around saying, well, what are we going to do? Like a petulant kid.
Right. And essentially because they figured out how to track them.
The Empire figured out how to track people through hyperspace.
Yes.
The ships through hyperspace. So, but the beacon thing, that threw me off too. Like, Leia was wearing the beacon so Rey could find them. It seemed like, wouldn't they just track that? Like, it seemed kind of MacGuffin-ish a little bit. There's a few little potholes now that I think about it.
Yeah.
So...
They were using the Force.
In the typical way of young gung-ho maverick types, Poe, doesn't accept that their explanations. They basically just say, we've got it covered kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's not right, which of course, as we know older now, having been NCOs and been supervisors in our lives, we know that that's bullshit, because we know the other person knows what they're doing in a way. They've got a plan. They just don't need to tell us about it. And that's what Poe was doing. He wasn't getting what he wanted, so he went off and Finn and this Rose. Finn, that's right. Finn decides to desert again. Well, there's a tempo.
Okay, so we need to backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the introduction scene of Finn was
oh my God, that's
fucking...
right. At the end of Force Awakens, he's in a coma.
He's in a coma, but we get the back to scene that's not the back to scene.
Yeah, that's right. Back to scene was very serious. There was nothing funny about it until, of course, Luke kissed his sister.
Right.
But
it was still serious.
It was still serious.
Some boys' minds,
but this was where the slapstick part came in.
Oh God.
John Boyega, he's almost irritating, but that's the character. That's not him. Yeah. His timing is perfect. His comedic timing is Jack Benny level.
Yes.
It's really good.
Yes.
And it's insane. They have this total scene where he wakes up in the whatever cryostasis thing he's in, and he instantly lifts his head, bangs his head on the plexiglass, and
but
nearly
you
knocks
don't know
his...
it's plexiglass.
Yeah.
That's the fucked up thing. You don't even know it's plexiglass. I thought he woke up in a Bacta tank, but without a mask on.
I know, like he was drowning or something.
Yes.
Well, it turns out he's hooked up to Bacta on his back.
Yes.
He's like wearing kind of a spacesuit, but filled with goo. And he hits his head on the overhead screen and then falls out of the bed. Hoses fly everywhere, liquid flies everywhere.
And
it's
then
just
it cuts
funny
to
as hell.
Poe.
Yeah. Landing. Now, Poe is nearly like, remember Flight of the Intruder? And the whole gag, you had to catch the hook.
Yeah.
You had to catch the line.
Oh, he caught the hook.
He caught it on this. And it was, he basically was jumping into a Mon Cal ship. And they were just before they went to hyperspace. It's totally Indiana Jones-ish kind of thing.
Most definitely.
He flies in there and basically does the brakes. Like he hits the brakes. I'm going to hit the brakes. He's going to fly right past. He fucking does. That's another Top Gun thing he did. And then levels out, lands, and instantly BB-8
says, beeps. There's Finn.
He's like, there's Finn with
naked.
naked with hoses and liquid or something like that. And Poe turns to BB-8 and says,
mean?
Are you broken? What the hell did you say? And then BB turns and points, kind of, with one of his little arms. And sure enough, here comes Finn. He looks like some kind of octopus man or something. He looks like, what's that god that we were laughing about, the whole fake one, the Cthulhu. He looks like Cthulhu a little bit. And he's got hoses flying all over, liquids flying all over the place. He's just completely lost.
Disoriented like nobody's business.
No one's stopping to tell him what's going on. Nobody cares.
So then you have the Luke Han moment where the buddy they hug, and Poe's like, I know you got 1,000 questions and to ask what's going on, and what's the one fucking question Finn asks?
Where's Rey? Yeah. That was right off the bat. And of course then it cuts to Rey, and Rey's having a frustrating time with Luke. Rey gets attracted to two things on the island. She gets attracted to the tree
Yes.
and, well, what I call the island's butthole. We'll get to that in a second.
Which, if you follow Empire, that's
It's the other tree. They kind
the
of
other tree.
They flipped the script of what they
Yes.
did, and the tree is a sacred tree, and it's full of the Jedi text, the old Jedi text, and people have been talking about this online since the trailer came out. There's an emblem on that text that, not really the EU, but like fans, like the Saber Legion type guys, the guy like I'm a Saber Legion person, the gray Jedi marking. That
Yes.
marking is for a gray Jedi, and it's kind of reminiscent of the Rebel picture marking as well. So there's an emblem on these books. And she walks in and basically says, "I know this place. I've dreamt about it. What's going on?" Luke at this point gets curious. He's been avoiding her all this time, like leading her on weird wild goose chases and all kinds of shit.
Very, very Yoda-esque.
But longer.
But longer, yeah.
Days go by. You can tell days go by when this is going on. And finally says, "Who the hell are you? What is going on here?" And she doesn't even... This kind of thing always bugs me, but I know it's a dialogue thing, where she basically answered in a riddle. Like, why can't you just say, "Oh, I'm force sensitive, by the way"? Real easy. But then again, that's not good dialogue.
But
So
does she know she's force sensitive?
she made Daniel Craig give her a gun.
But she doesn't understand why.
Well, that's a good point.
And
'Cause
here's,
yeah.
and that's kind of that's one of the reasons why I love the Daisy Ridley character, because she is able to verbalize that feeling. I know some shit's going down.
But I have no idea what it is.
I have no idea what it is.
Mhm.
Yes, I met the great Han Solo. I can speak to a fucking Wookiee.
Yeah, right off the bat.
You know, I can speak to a droid, but I don't know why I can do the things I can do. I just picked up a lightsaber not too long ago. I have all these dreams and force dreams. I'm connected to this badass dude, emo dude,
Meaning Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren. I kicked his ass,
Mm.
and I have no idea why
Or how.
or how.
They even address that in the movie. This kind of leads us to Snoke a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. And
Finish
then-
your thought.
Yeah. And then, you know, I meet this other person who is the general, who obviously is connected to both Han, who I made a connection with, and Kylo Ren, who also is connected to me within the Force. Everyone understands that I'm important, but I don't know why I'm important.
Just to break for a second here, are we frozen? I think we might be frozen.
Oh shit!
But at any rate, we're still taping, so who cares?
Hopefully nobody's talking about earlier.
Well, the only person on here is Jay, and he's basically saying we need a producer so they can read my stupid shit. That's what Jay says. So I think we're locked up.
How long have I been frozen?
I don't know. I don't care at this point. It's fine. If it comes back, it comes back. If not, we're still taping on the camcorder, so I'll just post it later.
That means it's a good time to take a break and
Yeah, we can take. Well, let's finish that, and then we'll get into the deep stuff. Just you and I. We'll go offline. And we'll do that.
Right.
We'll just let's jump forward a little bit. Snoke.
No.
What happens to Snoke is not expected at all. Although
Caught me off guard.
on retrospect,
So-
it makes perfect sense. You even said it in the theater. The apprentice kills the master.
Yes, after the fact.
After
but
the-
I was expecting that in the third fucking act, not in the second.
As a climax, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's weird to be even in but that having it in the middle, or at least the first half of the movie, just reemphasizes the fact this is the middle arc. If they ended with that at the end, that would be too much like Jedi.
No, but actually, you're right, because now
Yeah, I know.
I get it. I see what Disney's doing.
Yeah, and
Disney is fucking regurgitating EU,
expand the universe, yeah.
but they're doing it in their own way.
Because
there is a plot line already written.
Yeah, there is, yeah. We're arguing about stuff that's already been written down. We just haven't seen it.
No, there's a plot line already written
Yeah.
within the expanding universe that has similar tones.
The whole
that
time.
the fanboys,
I was thinking Dark Empire the whole time.
not just Dark Empire, but we're also talking about Jaina and Jason Solo.
Yeah, that occurred to me as well. And we'll get to that in just a second here. We'll kind of go through the whole film, but real short here.
Okay.
Like,
Anyways.
so we get to Snoke. Snoke, of course, Again, aspects of the Force that nobody gets.
But I